Find out what's making you sick and how to heal. Anthony William is the medical medium.
Hello, this is Anthony William, the medical medium. You're listening to the Medical Medium radio show, where each week we bring you the most advanced healing information ahead of science and research in chronic illness. So you have to think about that. If science and research was so ahead of things, if we were so good in advance in science with chronic illness, why is everybody getting sicker and sicker and sicker? And I'm not talking about heart disease. I'm not even talking about cancer. I'm talking about people that can't function anymore. They can't live their lives. They have symptoms upon symptoms. They can't think. They could barely walk, talk, function. They can't exercise. They can't live their lives. I'm talking about people with not just high anxiety and depression, people with body aches and pains, facial pain, body pain, neck pain, back pain. It's not even just that. Severe fatigue, eczema, psoriasis, skin disorders, dermatitis, the worst cases of rashes that are unknown, hives, lupus, Lyme disease. You can go on and on. CFS, ME/CFS, brain inflammation, completely just missed by science and research. Everything. Toxic heavy metals that are causing all of this, pathogens that are causing all of this. I talk about the most advanced information. I brought this to town thanks to Spirit, because Spirit brought this information to me since I was a child. If you're brand new to the medical medium and you don't know what's going on, check out the medical medium books. Just give it a shot. Look into the medical medium series and pick out a book that you feel like, speaks to you, and work on your healing process. You could save your life. You could save other lives around you. This information comes from beyond, and it's already helped millions over the last 35 years. So let's move forward. We're talking about slow metabolism and celery juice too. We're always talking about celery juice, how it helps with metabolism issues. But let's talk about metabolism altogether. Like, what is it? A slow metabolism was never behind anybody's symptoms or conditions, so you need to know that. So metabolism isn't the cause of somebody being sick or a problem happening or a symptom or a condition. The term metabolism is only the discovery of being alive. So slow metabolism isn't responsible for weight gain. See, that's unbelievable, right? I'll say it again. A slow metabolism, when someone's diagnosed with a slow metabolism, and diagnosed, what does that mean? That means that someone's like, oh, you got a slow metabolism. Oh, you must have a fast metabolism. Oh, you must be one of those people that seem to, have a fast metabolism. I mean, come on, right? Think about that. Is that advanced? Is that like advanced science and research? Is that where we are today? So come on, a slow metabolism, that person's gaining weight, so they must have a slow metabolism. I mean, let's get real. Let's really get real here. So the point is that slow metabolism that we believe we have, the term metabolism, is only the discovery of being alive. That's all it was. See, it was a discovery that something happens when you put food in your mouth hundreds of years ago. Yeah, you put food in your mouth, and it's a discovery that blood is moving through our body. Blood is actually pumping. Something's pumping blood through our veins and arteries. That's what metabolism was, the discovery that we're a living creature, that when you consume an energy source via food, that you're utilizing it, it's giving you energy, and you're able to function. We're alive. That's the discovery of metabolism, by the way. That's the great scientific discovery right there. A slow metabolism does not give us an answer of what can truly go wrong to create a condition such as weight gain or losing too much weight. So when somebody's losing too much weight and we say, hey, they must have a fast metabolism, it's ridiculous. It really is, because that's not how it works. See, metabolism became law. It's one of those old grandfathered laws that has taken over the consciousness of the human race. I know that sounds drastic. I know that sounds a little too much, maybe. But when you really think about it, it's literally all everybody ever thinks about. I mean, we have so many people suffering with chronic illness, dying or living lives that aren't at the fullest potential. It's really funny how all that self-help talk out there, that self-help talk and all that good feel-good positive talk, and all of it, the law of attraction talk and all the talk out there about living to our greatest and our greatest potential, which I support. I've always supported that. I've always supported living to our greatest potential. I've always supported living in a positive, or most positive being that we have, most positive sense that we have inside of us. Our souls elevating to a point of, being positive, living at our best, living life at our best, the best quality we can, and the best quality of life we can. I've always subscribed to all of that. I've always been a supporter of all that. But then when we leave the fact out of all the people that are struggling and suffering in chronic illness, from young people to teenagers to young adults to college students to young adults to older people to, people middle-aged, or however we want to say it now these days. Everybody is struggling, and they're struggling with real chronic issues all of time, debilitating to some, plaguing them to some degree. And so when we think about living the best quality of life and living our best full potential, what about the millions of people that they can't even think about that? They can't even think about, what's the best what's the best greatness they can even achieve to when they're suffering and struggling. And so when you think about metabolism taking over, it's almost like another one of those things to derail people who are struggling and suffering, is what I'm trying to say. It's another way of saying, well, you know what? It's your metabolism. It's another way of just blowing off people that are really sick. That's what it is. It's another great mistake, I call it, is what I'm trying to say. It's another one of those derail people, is what I'm trying to say. You got people suffering and struggling left and right all over the place with all kinds of symptoms and conditions, right? And what we throw at them, the best science and research, we go to dietitians, we go to some nutritionists, we go to different people, and the best science and research get thrown at them. It could be your metabolism. It could be that, or that's what's responsible for it. And you can't live to be at your greatest self because your metabolism is messed up. You can't get that best quality of life because your metabolism is messed up. Maybe you're not thinking positive enough. Maybe you're creating your own illness. Maybe you're creating your own illness and it's messing up your metabolism. See, that's what I'm trying to say right here. It's really something when you get these roadblocks out there that are out there, they're set in place to mess you up. Kind of like the autoimmune theory I always talk about, where they say your body's destroying itself, when it's not, when it was just a theory from the 1950s. And if you read the books, the Medical Medium series books, you learn about how that's not true. The body doesn't attack itself. Well, these other great mistakes like metabolism and that in everything being blamed on your metabolism, that's another prime example of to derail people, to confuse them, to throw them off the scent of what they really need to be doing. Is why isn't science and research stepping up to the game? Why aren't they stepping up and helping out womankind? When health professionals all over the world are consumed with the term metabolism, as if it holds any merit, any credibility, any science research really, any scientific discovery really. When it holds any kind of credibility, it's unbelievable, especially what's going on with people suffering. That's why I'm trying to talk about this a little bit more. I mean, I'm going to go into metabolism a lot more to where we're heading, and so just hang in there, fasten your seatbelts, get a cup of tea, just relax, because we're going to cover this, and this is going to be good. But I wanted you guys to make sure that you knew how kind of disastrous the metabolism theory has been and how it has been a roadblock for so many for so long. So when someone's struggling to get weight off of them and they're severely depressed because the weight is bogging them down, they can't function good. They got an extra 50 pounds on them, extra 70 pounds on them. They're being made fun of. They're not being taken seriously. They're not being taken seriously that they even know how to take care of themselves or know how to take care of their families or whatever, because people look at weight in such a negative way. And it's so sad that people do that, because it's that the weight on someone has nothing to do with their soul, who they are as a person, their accomplishments, who they are inside. And what happens is that, weight is so judged in this world, right? And then to smack on a label like it's their metabolism, they must be eating too much and they're not burning it off or something. It's just unbelievable. When there's bigger reasons, there's bigger reasons the weight is happening. There's bigger reasons they're struggling with problems. There's real reasons that science and research doesn't want to touch or go near because it's completely negligent. Completely negligent. And you know how science and research, how they trick, how the whole science thing, how it's all trickery? I'll tell you how it's trickery. Science is incredible in some areas because of technology and where it is today, but then people are suffering with no answers. That's where we are. People suffering with no answers. Metabolism is the scientific word somehow still holding credibility to just throw everybody off the scent that science and research has failed everybody in chronic illness. So let's go into this a little bit deeper. So we want to go along with all of this. Yes, it's a manner of speaking. We can talk about that. You have a slow metabolism. We can call it what you want then. But let's talk about the truth of really what it is and what's happening. Let's go into there. The true cause of what's called a slow metabolism is a sluggish liver. So the true cause of a slow metabolism, or what we call a slow metabolism, is a sluggish, stagnant, toxic liver. It's that simple. A sluggish, stagnant, toxic liver. That's a metabolic problem. That's your metabolism. So anybody, anybody, including yourself, that may have heard or been told or diagnosed or anything like that, that they have a slow metabolism, understand that they have a liver that's a little tired, a little toxic, a little stagnant, a little sluggish, because something is going on inside that liver. And we're going to explore what those things could be. This could be pesticides and herbicides, fungicides, synthetic chemicals sitting inside the liver. Our livers are filled with a variety of what I call troublemakers. If you get the liver rescue book, the medical medium liver rescue book, and you'll see, it has eczema and psoriasis on the subtitle and all kinds. I talk about acne on the subtitle and so forth, and you'll see that. That's the book to get, so you learn about this. I talk about the troublemakers, and the troublemakers are all these different things. Pesticides we're exposed to all the time. Herbicides we're always exposed to. Fungicides, synthetic chemicals. You've been exposed to those. You may not know it, but you have. I can talk all about how. Viruses, that's right. We're all exposed to viruses. We are. There's no question about that. Epstein-Barr being the number one. Bacteria, plastics, we've always been exposed to plastics. Toxic heavy metals, we're exposed to mercury. We're exposed to aluminum. Lots of it in our system and in our body. It's been passed down throughout the generations into our bodies through our forefathers' ancestry. Even toxic hormones such as excess adrenaline from stress. When you're stressed out, what happens is your adrenals pump out toxic hormones, toxic adrenaline. That's how we cope with stress. This stuff is like battery acid. It's corrosive to our bodies, corrosive to our immune system. And it fills up in the liver. The liver sponges it all up. It sponges it up. Have you been to the gas station pumping? Have you ever pumped your own gas at the gas station before in your life? Let me tell you something. All those gas fumes, that's a solvent. All you have to do is breathe in gasoline fumes. All you do is have to whiff it, and it's instantly inside your bloodstream and then being absorbed into the liver. And we do that over and over and over again, pumping our gas. And I'm not saying be afraid of life. Don't ever go and get gasoline. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that we're exposed. What do? It clogs up the liver. It clogs up fat cells. Fat cells that the liver stores to protect you because we end up eating too much fat. And so all this fat gets stuck into the liver, and then all these toxins get stuck into the fat from our high protein, high fat diets. So when we eat the high-fat, high-protein diets, which everybody is still stuck doing, science and research being so advanced, meanwhile, we don't even know what to eat yet. It's incredible. The most advanced, best doctors' diets out there and on the scene and on the circuit, and the best kinds of diets out there and diet plans and different names and all those different diets and all that, they're still completely void of what reality is to what our body needs. They're always high fat and high protein, and they slowly bog down our livers and slowly kill our livers. So when you think about it, back to the whole thing, what I was saying, are you living your best quality of life? How can you with all the misinformation out there? How can you with the term metabolism being so backwards and so misinformed or just wrong? How can you live your best life with this stuff going on? These are traps to stop you from living your best life and your greatest self and your full potential and your positive self and everything else. And that's how the world's set up. It's set up with this darkness out there. Whether anybody likes it or not, it's set up for a reason. The medical world did this. They do these things for a reason. They create sand traps purposely. So you get stuck in the sand traps and it slows down your best self or best quality of life or what you're trying to achieve in your life. That's what it does. That's what it's for. So you end up, for some reason, needing pharmaceuticals earlier on in life. And earlier on in life, you need more pharmaceuticals and more pharmaceuticals. You better believe it. The troublemakers, these pesticides, herbicides, these toxic heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, synthetic chemicals, solvents, cleaning agents, cleaning chemicals, fabric softeners, air fresheners, plug in the house, all those things we absorb into our livers. Viruses, bacteria, plastics, hormones, all of this gets inside our liver. Celery juice is one of the tools Spirit brought to town for me. When I was a child and Spirit said, look, it's going to be celery juice for people. That's going to be one of their tickets out of the madness. An herb called celery. It revives the liver, flushes out these various toxins, and helps dissolve and disperse the fat cells trapped inside the liver from high protein, high fat diets that surround and contain all of the toxic substances, the troublemakers I talked about originally just a minute ago. Essentially, celery juice cleans out the liver, removing a variety of toxins and reducing viral loads. What does that mean by reducing a viral load? Like, what does that even mean? It's the first time listening to this and listening to medical medium podcasts or reading in any of the medical medium books. What does that mean? A viral load is something like an Epstein-Barr sitting inside a liver, proliferating, growing, expanding over time to eventually give you the heart palpitations, the hot flashes, eventually give you that perimenopause symptom thing, eventually give you reproductive problems, fibroids, eventually giving you all kinds of different cysts, ovarian cysts. How about that? Get chronic fatigue syndrome, fatigue. That's what it can do. Anxiety, depression. Epstein-Barr is just sitting in there waiting to give you fibromyalgia, your first fibromyalgia diagnosis when you're age 42. It's there waiting to give everybody this. It's a viral load. It's a virus sitting inside the liver, percolating year after year as we feed it high protein, high fat diets of all kinds, whether it's vegan, plant-based, whether it's animal-based, whatever it is. And we just feed it the wrong foods. We feed it lots of eggs, and these viruses grow. So what is a viral load? It's a virus such as Epstein-Barr, or the shingles, or HHV6, or cytomegalovirus, or so many other viruses, or HPV. Even HPV, why not? Sitting inside our bodies, feeding off of the wrong foods, feeding off of chemicals and poisons that are trapped inside our liver, percolating, proliferating, and going to give you symptoms later on down the road. And all the geniuses that write the books and they're on the circuit and they're doing the podcasts about health and talk about this diet and that diet and all the brainstormers that think about science studies and science research don't even know any of this. And if they do know a little bit of this, it's because they got it and gleaned it from the Medical Medium series books or practitioners that actually use the books or they heard a podcast of mine and so forth. So this is information you need to know. Celery juice awakens the liver. You should be doing your celery juice. You should get the celery juice book, the Medical Medium celery juice book. And you should be doing the celery juice. Awaken the liver, clean it up so it can improve. So everything else in the body can improve. And if you want to call it, quote, metabolism is why you're gaining weight, metabolism is why you're sick, metabolism is why you're tired, then fine, get your metabolism better using celery juice as part of it. Every organ becomes cleaner because that's what it really is. It's not a slow metabolism. Your organs are becoming cleaner. Your liver's getting cleaner. Blood and lymphatic system become cleaner. Think about that. Blood and lymphatic system become cleaner. Unwanted weight gain. Let's go into that a little bit. Let's go into the unwanted weight gain. That's important. When someone is gaining unwanted pounds, it means the liver has been collecting and storing an abundance of fat cells. So why is that happening? You got a tired, sluggish liver, okay? It's been beaten down by chemicals and all kinds of stuff going on. You got a pre-fatty liver that's completely undiagnosed. So you got a pre-fatty liver because there's pre-fatty liver. It's just basically you're just not getting a diagnosis of a fatty liver, but you're going to someday. And if you don't, you're still getting a fatty liver. And then these fat cells collect, they store, they collect, and they store, and they have poison inside the fat cells inside the liver. And that's when weight gain starts to show up. That's when it starts to show up. It shows up when the liver's already been filling up. It's already been filling up with these fat cells. You see, you guys? See, the liver's already been filling up over the years. So if you're one of those where you're always battling a pound or 2 pounds on you, say you're somebody, you're young, you're in the gym and you're trying to knock off those 2 pounds, your college weight, and then you're knocking it off. And then it's coming back on as you're eating your high protein diets and you're trying to keep your low carbs, and then you're exercising and you're breaking it down, coming off. That means your liver already filled up with fat. If you're getting fat on the outside of the body, it means your liver already became pre-fatty. Even at 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, you already got a pre-fatty liver. You already have a problem. And then sure, you can say, well, hey, my girlfriend or my boyfriend or something he's got more weight on him. He's got a slower metabolism. He exercises in the gym, but he can't keep it off. And what happens is that's just a more sluggish, toxic liver with more pollutants inside the liver, including possible viral load, the very thing I was talking about earlier, right? Remember the viral load? And then you got that sitting inside the liver. You got the weight coming on. And then we deem that as slow metabolism. Like, what a great mistake that is. Weight gain is not a result of a slow metabolism. The liver is responsible for weight issues throughout all parts of the body. So remember that. You wake up one morning, you see fat on the body that you don't want there. It's the liver. You got to get the liver healthy. You got to get the liver rescue book. The Medical Medium Liver Rescue Book, and you got to start taking your liver seriously, because as you grow older, it's not gonna go down good. People dealing with weight issues are also often dealing with lymphatic issues, because when the weight's gaining and the liver's getting sluggish and stagnant, then the lymphatic system gets sluggish and clogged up, and it's harboring an abundance of fat cells in the lymphatic system because of an overloaded liver. And then the lymphatic system gets overloaded with poisons and toxins because the liver's so filled up at this point. When you're drinking that celery juice, the chemical compounds from the celery juice enter the digestive system, absorb into the intestinal tract walls, go up to the hepatic portal vein, and enter the liver. They start to revitalize the liver cells. So when you're drinking that celery juice, it's dropping down through the digestive tract, getting down into the intestinal tract, getting down, going up the hepatic portal vein. That's the highway up to the liver, because everything has to go up to the liver. Everything. It's like a medicinal infusion for the liver. That celery juice is being driven up into the liver. It's an infusion into the liver to wake it up, to get it out of its stagnancy, to get it out of that whole stagnant, sluggish state that's causing your slow metabolism diagnosis. Our liver is a filter that becomes clogged over time if we don't give it relief. You have to remember that our liver is a filter that becomes clogged over time if we don't give it help, if we don't give it relief. It clogs up over time. Think about that a little bit. Often, in addition being clogged up with fat cells, a slow, sluggish, stagnant liver is a sign that it's loaded up with toxins and the troublemakers I kept on talking about earlier. These can range from conventional detergents, like I said, colognes. Do you ever smell cologne? Did it ever bother you? It's one of the things that bothers me probably the most. If I'm in a crowded area, going through an airport or whatever it is, the cologne is so thick. It's so toxic. It gets into the sinuses. It sticks in there. I've had people tell me for years how it affects them, how it actually gets them like an instant migraine, makes them sick, makes them feel nauseous. The amount of cologne, the perfume that's out there, because they're toxic. They're chemical agents. They're not natural. No one's wearing a natural cologne. It's a chemical company's concoction of garbage to make a smell occur that for some reason seems to be pleasing to somebody, but yet not pleasing to most people. That's the irony to it all. I heard, a friend of mine who's a health practitioner in a different realm of health, whole different realm of health. It's a health of like chemicals and stuff like that, all that other different stuff, and said that the majority of people when they're interviewed, 95 people out of 100 say they hate the smell of cologne. Then how is it possible everybody's wearing it? If 95 people out of 100 hate the smell of cologne, then how is it happening? There's some of these things. It's a mystery. It's a total mystery. Perfumes, the same thing. There's so many toxic varieties of perfumes, and they really affect sensitive people. I don't get affected by perfume so much, but colognes definitely bother me. It's the craziest thing. But I've seen people where they can't handle any of it. And then you got the gasoline fumes, like I talk about when you're pumping gas, air fresheners. That's a really bad one. The chemical companies, the oil, the vaporized air fresheners, the fake candles. It's not essential oils in the candles. Candles, when you burn them, these are chemical company delights. These literally intoxicate us. We're talking about they break down our immune system. When you're burning candles that aren't natural, like essential oils, and the wax isn't, it's not like a natural wax or a soy wax or something like that, where, whatever it is, and it's just straight chemicals. That's really bad with those candles. So many people, what happens is if you're burning candles for 30 years in your life and breathing that in, you can develop conditions and diseases and problems because it'll feed pathogens inside the body, lower the immune system. It could really hurt you. It's just as bad as smoking. If you're anti-smoking cigarettes and you think cigarettes are bad for you, just think about the air fresheners. Trust me. Think about the air fresheners. Think about those and the candles. Whole nother game. Pharmaceuticals also get trapped inside our liver. They sit inside our liver, these pharmaceuticals. Bacteria and viruses sit inside our livers forever. Where do you think hepatitis C comes from? It's from just a low-grade Epstein-Barr virus from when you're younger. And it sits in there percolating, causing scar tissue by the time you're 60 years old. Then the doctor sees you got a little bit of inflammation in the liver with a little bit of scar tissue, and he deems it hepatitis C. He doesn't even know the hepatitis C virus, or she doesn't even know the hepatitis C virus is just an EBV virus that's been in there forever. They never found or singled out a hep C virus, by the way. It's never been singled out under the microscope, ever, in history. They singled out the Epstein-Barr virus. They never singled out a hepatitis C virus. Isn't it interesting? It doesn't exist, but yet it does. There is a viral condition that's sitting inside the liver, and that's what's happening. There's over 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr virus. Over 60 varieties. Many of them sit inside the liver. Some of them cause hepatitis B, hepatitis C. They cause conditions inside the liver. Scar tissue over time from viral inflammation, feeding off of scented candles, the new air fresheners that we're dealing with to this day, to colognes and perfumes, to makeups that are really toxic, to toxic heavy metals, to, all these detergents, to solvents, to pesticides, herbicides. They get clogged inside the liver loses its ability to function at its optimum level. Celery juice helps this, but it's not just celery juice. You want to get on the medical medium. The heavy metal detox smoothie. You want to get the heavy metal detox smoothie. You want to get on that Vimergy spirulina, that Vimergy barley crash juice powder. You want that Vimergy right inside the smoothie. You make the heavy metal detox smoothie with the wild blueberries. I use the Wyman's ones. You can get another wild blueberry if you want. You just put the frozen wild blueberries in that smoothie. You blend it up. That's what I do to get the metals out, because you're exposed to metals. We're all exposed to metals, no matter what we're doing, where we are. You want to get them out of the liver, because over time they feed viruses that create liver issues down the road. And never mind slow metabolism. You get that liver too bad and too beat up and too problematic, you're going to have a lot more problems than slow metabolism and a little bit of weight gain. You could have a lot more issues like people have. Some serious eczema, psoriasis, all kinds of different conditions people have. Acne. Acne's a liver-related issue. It's streptococcus inside the liver and lymphatic system. That's what acne is. It's actually unbelievable how people don't realize what they still don't know what's causing their acne. They don't, because there's no information. Science and research doesn't know anything. I think it's set up like that on purpose, to be honest. Listen, you should read the liver book. You should read Liver Rescue so you actually can see the difference, meaning learn, and then see the difference in the results when you do the 369 cleanse, the Liver Rescue 369 cleanse, and you actually start getting your liver back, and then you start getting better. There's a big difference that happens. There's something in celery juice I call sodium cluster salts. I know some of you guys already heard about that because you got the celery juice book, the medical medium celery juice book. And the sodium cluster salts, that's a powerful, powerful phytochemical compound. Basically what it does is it helps dissolve poisons that are trapped. It helps to disperse them out of fat cells. It helps to break down fat cells. It helps to get these toxins, these solvents, these pesticides, these toxic heavy metals loosened up. It helps to bind on to debris that's caused by viruses that create debris, byproduct. I just want to tell you a little bit about something about that byproduct thing, so it's important to you know. You guys hear about like methylation issues like MTHFR gene mutation. You hear about that. You hear about other things too. And, and then you got Lyme disease, you got biofilm, you hear about that out there, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys are listening to all kinds of stuff out there or reading stuff out there. But all that's caused by viral byproduct, and none of those sources or studies or practitioners or people on the circuit even know about any of this. Viral byproduct from Epstein-Barr, HHV6, HHV7, shingles, cytomegalovirus, viral byproduct from simplex 1, simplex 2, viral byproduct produced by these viruses inside of all of us, okay? That's what causes all of that. That's what causes C-reactive protein tests to elevate, ANA, anti-nuclear antigen tests. That's what elevates the inflammatory tests, MTHFR gene mutation tests. That's what actually inflames everything. Okay, that's the whole, homocysteine goes up. That's the whole point. It's from viral byproduct inside people's bodies. That's advanced information you're only going to get here from the medical medium radio show and from the books. And that's the whole thing. You don't want those viral loads increasing. And when they increase and produce all this viral byproduct, you get slower metabolism, meaning it could get diagnosed or seen from the outside by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about health, a professional that sees it as like a dietitian that sees it as slow metabolism. Meanwhile, you're building up viral byproduct, your liver's getting sicker, your weight's coming on, you're getting different symptoms through life. The liver becomes a nesting place for these troublemakers and these viruses, these toxins, and poisons. They feed the bugs inside the body. The liver becomes this nesting place. Celery juice, the sodium cluster salts, have these chemical compounds that bind onto viral debris and viral byproduct and help purge the liver. This is so important. This strengthens and awakens the liver's ability to operate at its best and perform over 2,000 chemical functions that are undiscovered by research and science. Think about that. Research and science has even tapped into a little bit of what the liver does and how it works. That's how it works. Sodium cluster salts strip the membrane of pathogens down. It strips the outer membrane of the cell, the viral cell. It keeps the thing strong. It keeps the virus strong. It strips it down. It breaks it down. And then, that's how it kills these bugs. And also celery juice breaks down and helps dissolve the fat cells that are stored inside the liver. So we can pee those fat cells out. I was on the Instagram Live recently and I said, piss the fat cells out. I probably shouldn't have said that. But it's peeing the fat cells out, okay? The bottom line is celery juice is loaded with vitamins and minerals that strengthen and feed the liver, making it less stagnant too. Feeding it. Are you feeding your liver? The heavy metal detox smoothie feeds it. The medical medium heavy metal detox smoothie feeds the liver. And you do the 28-day cleanse in the medical medium book 1. Powerful. Seen it save lives long before I published it, long before it was published. The 28-day cleanse brought people's lives back decades before that book was even published. Okay, so that's the power of these things. The 369 in the Liver Rescue book and the Liver Rescue smoothie bring the liver back. I mean, if you don't have all the Medical Medium series books, get them all. If you can't afford the book, I mean, some of them are like $10, $9. I saw that Celery Juice was like $9 or something on Amazon. I know they're in Costco's and Target. If you can't afford the book, go to the library. Take out the whole Medical Medium series and start getting your life together. Listen, Celery Juice is a godsend for the unwanted pounds when people just don't want those unwanted pounds. They want them to come off. It's a godsend. It really does help. But then when it's unwanted weight loss, when you're losing weight when you don't want to, Celery Juice does the opposite there. It stabilizes. The mineral salts bring the liver back because that's still a liver issue. That's still a liver problem, and it's still an adrenal problem. If you're really underweight and you don't want to lose any more weight, Celery Juice can help you because it assists in that circumstance too. Whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, it helps you hold steady in between. It's a balancer. You know that word balance, right? Well, I got to eat, balanced diet. I got to be balanced. I got to live more of a balanced life. That word is overused out there, or it's used all the time regardless. And that's what Celery Juice actually really does. It really does balance things. It keeps things stabilizes. I love when something really does work. It's another thing to say the word with all these so-called balanced diets that aren't balanced, and all these balanced lifestyles that aren't balanced at all, like eating chocolate all day, and coffee all day, and eating one meal a day and thinking you're balanced, or whatever it is, all these different balanced diets that are developing left and right, or eating way too much protein and fat, thinking it's balanced. Or the whole moderation thing. Everything in moderation. That's just unbelievable. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. I have to be honest, you guys. But Celery Juice actually does balance things. I love when something actually it's real and not just talk. It's not just all talk. It's critical to know that Celery Juice also is not a meal replacement. It's not a meal replacement. It's a medicine. It's not a meal replacement, especially if you're underweight. If you're underweight, it's a medicine so you can actually get to a point where you're not going to be underweight anymore. Meaning what it does is it fixes the liver. It fixes the endocrine system. It fixes the liver, the endocrine system, the adrenals. It actually gets rid of viruses that are keeping you underweight. Because that's the whole thing. What people don't realize who are underweight and they can't put weight on, they're dealing with a viral load too. Viruses produce, what happens is viruses stimulate adrenaline production. That's what they do. There's certain varieties of Epstein-Barr, out of the 60 varieties of Epstein-Barr, that stimulate adrenaline production, keeping you underweight. But the one thing I've learned about people who are viral and they're underweight for a portion of their life, eventually their liver just craps out the other direction and their liver becomes stagnant and sluggish really heavily. The adrenals get tired and they gain weight, and now they deal with a weight problem later on. Anybody who's living underweight, where they got this underweight problem and it's underweight it's for years, and that person's been they can't keep weight on, it changes and they end up with too much weight on them and they're on the flip side. That always happens. Celery Juice can help prevent that too from happening to them. You can't rely on Celery Juice as a calorie source, though. Always remember that. Don't skip a morning meal like a fruit smoothie or the heavy metal detox smoothie or any of the recipes in the Medical Medium series books. Don't skip those just because, you think it's a meal replacement. It's not. So always know that. Have both. The Celery Juice, 15-20 minutes later, enjoy your breakfast. After Celery Juice, 15 to 20 minutes, a half an hour later, enjoy your breakfast. I personally like anywhere from 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I like 30 minutes a lot. The reason Celery Juice helps with both unwanted weight and unwanted weight loss is because they both stem from the struggling liver with the viral issues. Unwanted mystery weight loss is usually a result of low-grade viral infection, like I said, the Epstein-Barr inside the liver, setting off the body's alarm system, essentially creating an allergic reaction that prompts the adrenals to release consistently high levels of adrenaline, like I was just saying earlier. The adrenaline acts as an amphetamine, and that's what happens. But the unwanted weight loss I talk about Just doesn't last forever, like I was saying earlier. Eventually, the liver becomes tired, sluggish, exhausted, and then, the high fat, high protein diet, all that, going in there, mass amounts of adrenaline saturating inside the liver long term because of the low grade viral infection that doctors can't pick off, that no practitioners can't pick off, that nobody sees. Because I try to get everybody the inside information about their body so they can be ahead of everything and everyone. And when people start to gain weight instead, it can happen 10 years later, 5 years later, 4 years later. It can happen 15 years later. That's how it works. But celery juice helps out with all the viral situations that create unwanted weight loss and unwanted weight gain. Because the sodium cluster salts I was talking about, those chemical compounds, enter the liver's hepatic portal vein and break down viral cell membranes, which weakens and reduces the viral load. You want to weaken the viral load. You want to reduce it. You want to break it down. Celery juice's compounds also grab onto toxins such as heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, solvents that feed viruses, and pull them out of the liver. Celery juice's compounds flow through the rest of the bloodstream, collecting and disengaging viral toxins that are hot. I call them hot because they're bad. They're charged. They're hot charged. They actually have a frequency. They float around in the body. And what happens is you can disengage that frequency. You can disengage those toxins. These are unseen allergic reactions that trigger adrenals too. We have all these poisons and toxins floating around in our body, triggering off the adrenals, and we're just adrenaline's flying everywhere. People with mystery weight loss have a higher heart rate too because of this allergic reaction of all these poisons and toxins floating around the bloodstream. And you can have that same thing with weight gain. When you're having weight gain too, you can have the same toxins floating around, acting as an allergic reaction, a mild low-grade allergic reaction, prompting the adrenals to release adrenaline. And this is leftover adrenaline surging through the body due to this allergic reaction from a viral load. Viruses produce poisons and toxins by feeding off of poisons and toxins. These are toxic to our body. They float around, they create low-grade allergic reactions, prompting adrenaline to flood. It's advanced information. I mean, listen to this show again because, this is advanced information and it's good to kind of just, hear it a couple times. This whole radio show, I've been sharing information from the Medical Medium Celery Juice book. That's how packed it is, and I haven't even scratched the surface. The book's packed with information about gaining weight, what happens when people gain weight, why, what's happening in their liver, to, unwanted weight loss, all of it. But it's not just that. I talk about metabolism. I talk about all kinds of different symptoms and conditions that everybody's walking around with in the celery juice book. It's that packed with information. I talk about what the celery juice does for our liver and reversing these conditions. So what I've been doing is giving you information right out of the Medical Medium Celery Juice book is what I'm doing. And because there's that much to share, I can't even scratch the surface of it. It's not even possible. And so the whole thing with metabolism, that's a big topic all in its own. And it's important to learn about it because what happens is you're going to be told one day, regardless, that your metabolism isn't right. You're going to be 32 years old. You're going to be dealing with, at the gym, wondering why you can't get weight off, why a trainer is going to be telling you that it's your metabolism. Or you're going to be 20 years old and sick and fatigued, and some doctor's going to say you have a slow metabolism. Or you're going to be 45 years old, and some doctor's going to say you got menopause and you have a slow metabolism. That's why you're gaining weight. Whatever it is, you're going to be told you got a bad metabolism one way or another along the way. You may as well get familiar with how to defend yourself. See, we defend ourselves in all kinds of different ways in life, right? You've defended yourself, right? Haven't you? With different things? Like different things that you felt weren't just, or you felt you're being called out on when you shouldn't have been because you weren't doing anything wrong. I mean, did you ever have that in life? In a relationship or a work relationship or just a stranger or whatever it is? You know what I mean? But we're not allowed to defend ourselves with illness, with chronic illness. We're supposed to be sick and have to just obey these grandfathered laws that are set to just ruin our lives along the way. Your life is precious, right? Okay? Precious. These are your years right here. These are your days. These are your months. These are the years of your life. You want it taken over by BS like the metabolism theory that it's responsible for all these things going on in your health? You want it taken over by that? That's the same thing like the protein thing I talk about all the time. The whole thing with protein, where protein is God. Are you getting enough protein? It's all about protein. Every diet's about protein. Meanwhile, everybody's getting plenty of protein, but why is everybody still sick? If you want your lives eaten up by these monsters, then go ahead. But if you don't want your lives eaten up and your days wasted and your time wasted, if you don't want them eaten up, you can defend yourself for the first time when it comes down in the medicine field, in the world, all of that. And I don't care if you're the smartest cat on the planet, where you're so smart, where you're into, these crazy foods from the Amazon, and you're totally smart on everything, and you think you know everything about keto diets, you think you know everything about every diet in the book, and all this stuff, and you think medical media might hear a voice, and that's just that's just not information that's peer-reviewed and studied, or whatever it is. You might be the smartest cat, you think, but you're still going to be a sucker to the metabolism law. You're going to be a sucker to the protein law. You're going to be a sucker to conventional medicine, big pharma, and all these other ways, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself. You may as well learn how to and start really taking control over your life. What's control over your life if you can't really take control over your life? I don't understand. Is there fake control over your life? Because that's what people do. They're taking fake control over your life, over their lives. It's amazing. What about having real choices, being able to make choices and say, hey, it's not a metabolism issue. I'm sorry, but it's not. It's actually my liver needing help, my liver needing care. It needs to be cleaned up. My lymphatic system needs to be cleaned up. It's not because I'm aging. It's not because I'm just somebody with a genetic thing where I'm born with a genetic issue and slow metabolism. You got to put your hand up and say, no, I'm not going to get suckered into this one. I'm here to give you the truth so you can protect yourself and make your own decisions for you and your family. That's what I'm here for. That's the whole point. And, I'm never going to stop doing that. I'm always going to give you that information. So I put the books out, like the Medical Medium Celery Juice book. Someone said to me the other day, I said, Anthony, I said, what? And they said, so what? You wrote a book about celery juice. What is it? Like a few celery juice recipes or something silly like that, and drink some celery juice? I said, are you kidding me? I said, are you joking? I said, do you know what's in that book? And they go, no. And I go, of course you don't know. You didn't read it. I go, read that book. The person went and they took a book and they read it. And they said they'd never read anything like it in their life. They couldn't believe it had almost 200 different symptoms and conditions explained to how we get sick and how celery juice can help heal it. They were blown out of their mind. Their minds just were blown. The person shared it with 2 other people already, and they were just mind blown. They didn't know there was so much information about what celery juice does and what it has inside of it and what it can do for you and how it can literally change your world around if you do it right and take the direction right to do so. And so you just have to realize it's about you, your health, your family, your friends, the people you love. It's about the people that matter. It's about your life that matters. Does your life matter? Does it matter at all? Does it, right? It has to, all right? It matters to me. It matters to me. I had someone tell me years ago, said, my life doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I don't even care anymore. I said, I do. I said, I care, and it matters to me. Your life matters to me. And they said, you know what? It turned their life around when they heard that. Because they realized that if it mattered to me in every way, I wanted that person better. I wanted them recovered. I wanted them moving forward. Their life was important. And they said, you know what? That changed your life. And they started applying the information. They recovered themselves from multiple sclerosis. That's what they did. And they're still better today and here and now because of it. And this was years ago. And so it should matter to you to heal. And so when you go back to the metabolism theory, it's really a sad situation. I've seen it used. There's hundreds of books, pamphlets, this and that about it. People still talking about it. It's literally one of those devils, one of those demons or something is what it is. It takes over the mind of millions and millions of health professionals all around the globe, that are innocent, that don't realize it. They just don't realize it. And it takes over their consciousness is what it does. And it's a seed that makes it so they can't look further. No one wants to look further. No one wants to doubt science's discovery with the metabolism. And back to what that is, what is it? It's just a discovery that we're actually breathing air. We're taking in oxygen. We're taking in fuel. We're going to bathroom. That's it. I'm just letting you know. That's metabolism right there. You're eating something. You're using it as energy. And you're going to bathroom. You're breathing air, which is oxygen. We're utilizing it, and that's the discovery, basically the bottom line. When you're dealing with eczema, when you're dealing with edema and swelling, how many people are dealing with edema and swelling? They're dealing with skin problems like eczema, psoriasis. They're dealing with fatigue, fibroids, reproductive disorders, reproductive problems, aches and pains, nerve pain, fibromyalgia, which science and research has no idea about any of these things yet, the causes. Headaches, migraines, heart palpitations. When we're dealing with lupus, with the diagnosis of lupus, which is still a mystery to research and science. Think about that right there. Lyme disease, still a mystery. Methylation issues. Everything that people go through right now, they're going through. PCOS, that one right there is really difficult on people. And then the SIBO diagnoses, the digestive problems and all that. Sinusitis issues, vertigo, tinnitus, vitiligo, lichen sclerosis, all of those. What happens is the bottom line is we have all these different conditions and symptoms and diagnosis diseases, all of this stuff. Science and research is behind the eight ball on all of it. So keep to your celery juice. Keep strong. Do it long enough. And do enough. When you get the celery juice book, you'll read the dosages you need. You try to get on 32 ounces every single day. I got people that are on 64 ounces every day. It's changing their life and turning them around. But you want to make sure your foods are right too. I'm going to give you some tips right here. Stay away from eggs. Stay away from milk, cheese, butter. Stay away from kefir. Stay away from yogurt. Stay away from any kind of dairy products, whatever you do. Stay away from all the dairy. Of course, stay away from gluten, but you want to know why to stay away from gluten because no one ever knew why. The reason you stay away from gluten is so you don't feed any bugs like Streptococcus causing acne. So the whole reason behind acne is strep bacteria. That's behind acne. It's strep in a sluggish liver and in the sluggish lymphatic system sitting in there causing cystic acne. So you want to make sure you're doing enough of the celery juice. You're staying away from the foods you should stay away from. Stay away from bacon. Stay away from pork. I would even stay away from corn. I'd stay away from soy. I would stay away from those too. And I would keep your animal proteins. If you're into animal proteins, lower them. Do them once a day, not twice a day, not 3 times a day. If you're an intermittent faster and you like to do animal proteins once a day at the end of the day, do a vegetarian meal at the end of the day. Do a vegan meal, a plant-based meal at the end of the day, one time, and then do the animal protein on the other day. Do every other day. If you're plant-based, if you're vegan, lower your fats, lower your proteins, lower the nuts and seeds, the oils, the avocados. Don't have them so high. All the tahini. I was talking to a plant-based person and really cool person. They're like, you know what? I do tons of tahini. I do 2 tablespoons of tahini on my salad every night. I have 2 avocados in my salad. I put 2 tablespoons of tahini in my salad, put a little olive oil in there. I said, oh my God, you got so much fat and you got so much protein and fat going on in there. You shouldn't do that. You should have a half an avocado in that salad and bring in some red bell peppers. Chop up some celery, put in some red bell peppers in there, lots of tomatoes. I said, why don't you put those things in there? Steam, if you're not all raw, steam some vegetables, throw in some asparagus, throw in some Brussels sprouts in there, steam them, put some steamed zucchini in there, or make some fresh raw zucchini noodles if you're into raw. Do that. But whether you're plant-based or your animal protein, lower the fats, lower the protein so your liver can get a break, bring in that celery juice and watch your life change. Get the Medical Medium book so you can learn all the tips and all the things to do, including what supplements to take to get rid of conditions. But the bottom line is, all of this is really the power. These are pieces and tools of the power you can use that really clean up what you could think is a metabolism problem. Always remember that. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for listening to the show. Can't wait for the next one. Bless your heart. I believe in you. I stand by you 100%. I'm honored to actually be of service to you. Okay, bye now.